Hello, Samadan here, and welcome to my gold guide. In this episode, we are going to look at all the race, class and profession combinations that work best for gold making. Each race has a number of unique racial abilities. Many of these are helpful with general playing of the game and give certain combat bonuses or abilities. I'm going to focus on the ones that are useful to gold making and rank them. Draenei have one ability that applies to gold making, and that is a plus 10 modifier to jewel crafting. This is useful in the levelling of a profession, as it allows you to craft items above your skill level, and can sometimes help keep costs down. Once you are max level in that profession, the usefulness no longer applies, so it's of limited long-term use. Dwarves can find additional fragments in archaeology and survey faster. These kind of abilities are more useful long-term, as the benefits go beyond profession levelling. Archaeology is a secondary profession, so anybody can train it with an addition to the two primary professions, although archaeology has a niche use for gold making with the Vial of the Sands mount. Gnomes gain a plus 15 to engineering, which is good while levelling the profession. Humans have diplomacy, which gives them a plus 10 reputation buff. This can be incredibly useful, as many profession recipes are locked behind reputation, and this will help unlock them faster. Night owls can move faster while stealthed and hide away. This is useful when trying to skip past certain mobs in dungeons, but is of limited use for gold making. They are the only choice if you want to play Demon Hunter. The great thing about Worgens is they have faster skinning speed, as well as a plus 15 skill level. They also have a couple of abilities that help them run faster. Let's look at the Alliance allied races. These require unlocking by getting to Exalted in the appropriate faction, and unlocking them through a questline. This restriction may get loosened in Shadowlands, but it's not confirmed yet. Dark-eyed Dwarves are natural blacksmiths with a plus 5 blacksmithing skill, and a plus 25% blacksmithing speed, which is incredibly useful. They can also run a little bit faster in dungeons. Cultirans are a jack of all trades with a plus 5 to all trade skills. It's a minor buff, but still something. Lightforged Draenei are also capable blacksmiths. While they lack the speed of Dark-eyed Dwarves, they can summon an anvil for blacksmithing, which is confusingly called Forge of Light. It's just an anvil, not a forge for smelting. They also have a plus 10 skill in blacksmithing. Gnomes, however, go one step further. They are a forge and an anvil, and also a cooking fire. This allows them to conveniently be blacksmiths, miners and cooks. They can also pick locks just like a rogue. Void Elves can make a spatial rift, which allows them to teleport a short distance. This has limited practical uses, but could be used to teleport to a nearby mining or herb node after working on one in front of you. So of all the Alliance races, the top ones are humans, Worgen, Gnomes and Dark-eyed Dwarves. Mid-tier are Cultiran, Draenei, Lightforged Draenei, Dwarves and Gnomes. Bottom tier are Void Elves and Night Elves. Sorry, Elves. Panderan are neutral, so let's discuss them here. They have a plus 15 to cooking, and also have the benefit of double rested XP, which is useful for general levelling, so I would put them about mid-tier for gold making. Now let's look at Horde. Blood Elves get a plus 10 to enchanting, and are the only Horde race available for Demon Hunters. Goblins have the best deals anywhere trait, which makes them highly cost effective, being able to buy items from merchants at the best price, regardless of faction. Sadly, not when it comes to the Brutusol though. They also have a plus 15 to alchemy, and the ability to summon a pack hobgoblin. This acts like a bank, and lasts 1 minute, and it's summonable every 30 minutes, a bit like the guild bank. Orcs sadly don't have anything useful for gold making, and neither do undead. Tauren get a plus 15 to Herbalism, and can gather herbs faster. Trolls have a plus 20% XP gain from killing beasts, which is useful for levelling and makes them ideal skinners. Moving on to the Horde allied races. Mag'har Orcs have a plus 10% mounted speed, which is useful for general mobility and travelling. Zandalari Trolls have a nice extra 2% gold earned from creatures, which adds up over time. They also have a choice of lower, one of them being Gonk, which allows you a plus 5% movement speed. Now Volpera have a plus 8 backpack space, which is incredible. Bag space really gets to a premium once you have a large inventory of goods. They also have an ability to make camp that acts as both a cooking fire and a rested area, which is convenient for cooking and levelling. Nightborn gain a plus 15 to Inscription, and have an ability called Cantrips, which gives them a summonable mailbox every 10 minutes that lasts for 1.5 minutes. High Mountain Tauren have a plus 15 to mining, and can mine faster. They also have an ability called Waste Not Want Not, which gives them a chance to loot additional meat and fish. So looking at all the Horde races, let's rank them. Top tier are Nightborn, Volpera, High Mountain Tauren, Zandalari Trolls, Goblins and regular Tauren. They all have some nice abilities that go beyond regular levelling of professions. Mid tier would be Trolls and Blood Elves. Bottom tier are going to be Mag'har Orcs, regular Orcs and Undead. So that's the races with their gold making potential benefits ranked in order. How do classes help with gold making? Well, they are interlinked with the races because only certain races can play certain classes. There are aspects of classes that make them more or less ideal for gold making. In general, classes that can get around faster are helpful for gold making because
time is money, friend!
And less time travelling means more time making gold. The classes with good mobility are Mages, Demon Hunters, Rogues, Shaman and Druids. Less mobile classes tend to be the tank melee classes like Warriors, Death Knights and Paladins. Mages are a good choice with their blinks and teleports, and they have some solid area of effect spells for farming. As a ranged class they are generally easier for pulling mobs. There are a few inscription recipes like Glyph of Lavish Servings and some Tomes of Polymorph that are much easier to get as a mage. So if you are considering inscription, I would highly recommend choosing a mage. Rogues have one key ability for gold making, and that's lockpicking. There are other ways to open locks with various consumables, but a rogue can pick locks for free. They also get to pick pockets before attacking, which adds to the gold over time. Rogue's stealth allows them to bypass a lot of unnecessary trash before getting to their target, so they can be very efficient to play. Demon Hunters are the only class that can glide, which allows them to reach areas other classes would find hard. They currently have the benefit of starting at a higher level if you already have one character over 70. This will change with Shadowlands, so it's a short window of opportunity. Death Knights are another class that currently start at a higher level, this time 55, and you don't even need a previous character at a high level. This is great for getting started early on a brand new realm. Again, this will go away with Shadowlands, so time is short if you want to make use of this. Druids are particularly useful for gold making, specifically farming herbs and ore. They have an instant cast flight form which saves an incredible amount of time. They don't even have to break flight form for picking herbs, which makes them ideal gatherers. The Boomkin form is also great for AoE farming. Monks have an ox statue, which makes them a good choice for multiple character farms. The statue draws mobs towards them to concentrate them in one place, then allows them to be destroyed by other AoE casters. These are usually called 2x4 farms, and can be a good way to make gold. Shaman can cast Walk on Water spell, which is really handy for fishing and gathering. There are some classes that have an ability to teleport you out of a dungeon and return to its entrance. This can be very handy when farming a dungeon multiple times, without having to resort to death. The classes that can do this are Druids, Monks and Death Knights. There's another aspect to classes that is worth considering, especially looking ahead to professions, and that's armour type. Each class wears a certain type of armour: cloth, leather, mail and plate. There are 3 professions that can make the types of armour. Tailors make cloth, leather workers make leather and mail, while blacksmiths make plate armour. If you're going to pick a profession that can craft armour, it's generally useful to be able to wear that armour type yourself. Some items you craft with these professions are bind on pickup, and it would be a shame to not be able to wear them. Cloth wearing classes are priests, warlocks and mages. Mail and leather go to shaman, hunters, rogues, demon hunters, monks and druids. Plate wearers are warriors, paladins and death knights. That leads us onto the third corner of this triangle of interconnectivity professions. You can have 2 primary professions and any number of the secondary professions. The primary professions can be further split into gathering professions and crafting professions. The gathering professions are herbalism, mining and skinning. The crafting professions are alchemy, blacksmithing, enchanting, engineering, inscription, jewel crafting, leatherworking and tailoring. The secondary professions are cooking, archaeology and fishing. As you can only have 2 primary professions per character, the crafting profession will often be paired with its gathering profession, so you can more easily collect materials for that profession. For example, alchemy and herbalism. That's not the only way to pair professions though. You can pair them by a shared resource or other pairing that goes well together. Alchemy and inscription go well together because they both use herbs in different ways. They also tend to require a lot of different reputations, so it helps to keep them on the same character. Alchemy is also one of the few professions that makes use of archaeology, with the Vial of the Sands mount, so often the character will pick this up too. Tailoring and enchanting go well together for a couple of reasons. 1, they don't rely on a gathering profession, and 2, they work because you can often craft items with tailoring cheaply to then disenchant for enchanting materials. Enchanting is useful to have on your main character as well, because you can easily disenchant excess loot. If you are going for this pair on your main, I'd also recommend picking up cooking and fishing, because you are more likely to get the reputations you need on your main. Blacksmithing, jewel crafting and engineering have a few interesting pairing options, as they all use ore gathered by mining. You could pair them any which way you choose. Engineering is worth having on 2 characters, as there are 2 varieties of engineering, Goblin and Gnomish, and each one has amounts you can make to sell. So my choice here would be to have Blacksmith, Goblin Engineer, and Jewel Crafter, Gnome Engineer. Leatherworking goes very well with skinning. The things you get from skinning feed directly into leatherworking, which makes them a natural choice. Cooking and fishing would also go well on this character, as then you keep all the meat and flesh stuff together. That would leave Herbalism and Mining as a dual gathering profession for your most mobile character. If we pair the professions as suggested, we would need 6 characters to have one of every profession, with engineering split into 2 specialities. Let's bring this all together and make 2 teams, one for Horde and one for Alliance. These will factor in race and class combinations, as well as profession pairs. Team Alliance. Alchemy, Inscription and Archaeology. I'd go for a human mage here for the reputation buff and mage specific inscription items. A second choice would be Dwarf Mage for the archaeology speed bonus instead. Tailor Enchanter. My vote is human again, as this helps so much with reputation. And then a cloth wearer to make use of the tailoring, so priest, mage or warlock, doesn't really matter. My personal choice will be human priest. Herbalist, miner. A natural choice here is druid, which limits the race to either Tauren, night elf or Worgen. Tauren have the bonus to skill level here, so that might help whilst leveling the profession. Leatherworker, skinner. Worgen is my first choice due to skinning speed, and wearing leather or mail would make sense to be either a hunter, rogue or druid. Blacksmithing, going with goblin engineering. A choice of 2 here, dark iron dwarf or light forged Draenei. The dwarf being better for speed. Class wise, a plate wearer is best. Paladins have a fair amount of versatility, so I'd probably choose them. Jewel Crafter and Gnomish Engineering. The choices here are between Gnome and Draenei with their bonus to skill level. It doesn't really matter which. My choice here would be to round out my team and make sure I have a rogue for lockpicking and therefore choose Gnome, or a monk for ox farms and therefore choose a Draenei. So that's my profession team for Alliance. Let's look at the Horde side. A Goblin or Nightborn Mage for Alchemy and Inscription. Goblins have the best price trait and alchemy skill. Nightborns have the inscription skill and mailbox. I'm going to go for Nightborn here because I have goblins in other slots. Blood Elf or Volpera Clothwearer for tailoring and enchanting. Volpera get the bag space, which I feel is better than enchanting skill for Blood Elves. A Tauren is perfect for a druid gatherer. Go High Mountain for the mining speed or regular Tauren for the herbalism speed, it doesn't matter. The Leatherworker Skinner slot has a few options. You could go Troll Hunter, Zandalari Rogue, High Mountain Druid, or even Blood Elf Demon Hunter. Nothing specific stands out on any of them, so I choose this based on what I have picked for everything else. I've gone for Troll Hunter for the extra beast XP. Blacksmith and Goblin Engineering would be open for any plate class, something like Goblin Warrior or Zandalari Paladin. Both have strong racial traits with the best price and being able to loot extra gold. I like the idea of Zandalari Paladin, as there are not many races that can be Paladins, so it'd be nice to have one on the team. Jewel Crafter and Gnomish Engineering is open to any here. My suggestion would be Goblin Rogue, so there is at least one rogue in the team. So that's the 2 teams ready for gold making. There is enough variety in there to make each character interesting, while also making the most of racial and class abilities. In my particular situation on the NA servers, I don't have access to allied races, so my first choice is limited. I also want to begin with a gatherer, so that I can start collecting materials as I level. I'm going to go for a Night Elf Druid. Once Shadowlands comes out, I can make him look exactly like me, which is a big factor to be honest. Always make sure you're having fun. Final choices are down to personal preference, and there's plenty of flexibility in the combinations. I nearly went for a Death Knight as a starter to get the higher level start, but as this won't be the case in Shadowlands, it didn't seem fair to go with that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what characters you chose for gold making and why you picked them. I've got other videos in this series which I'll link to here. This is going to be an ongoing journey, learning as we go. Please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss an episode. Until next time, happy gold making, and I'll see you very soon.